Hello guys, this is Paula and I am here to do something different for a change. I needed some cards and I wanted some fun cards, and so that's what we've got here. Some fun cards. Now I'm going to show you the first one I made. Okay, you can do them any way you want. Here's the second one. She's looking off with eyelashes. Here is Sleepy Joe. I don't mean Sleepy Joe. I mean like Sleepy Sam. Sorry about that. And then here we go. Back to this one. So I'm going to try to do something similar to this in these blue papers right here. Okay. Now, put that one to the side for now. And then over here we got Mr. Bill. I don't know what his name is. I'm just giving him names. And then he's got the beard and the hair, and they all have their own personality. So this is the first one I made. This was the second one with big eyes. And this is the third one I made. And I need one more set. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, we're going to do one of each. And the next video, we'll do two other characters, okay? So I think we'll start, I'd like to start with the, my dog's barking. I'm so sorry. She's such a big mouth today. We're going to start with the easier of the two, which is this blue one. Now, due to time, I went ahead and cut everything out, because it's time consuming, believe it or not. I mean, they go together pretty good, but then you have to do your fake stitches and all that. So I'm going to show you what I did, and I'm going to tell you the measurements the best I can. I've already cut out the pieces that go here. So I'm going to move this blue paper to the side until I might need some. If I mess up, I'll do it all over again. Now, I've got my patterns over here that I have made. I took a lid for the circle. I just cut the square, the size that would fit into the envelope, which on this one we're using a square for the first one, okay? And it's going to be 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, which is this blue one here. Let me show you. This is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. This is going to be the base of the card. What did I do with my card? Oh, here it is. I'm not going to need the trimmer right now. I don't know why I put it there. You know how that is, right? Okay, so that's the size of that. And then for this one, we need another square, okay? And the square is going to be 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, or just slightly bigger. And so it's going to look like this. Okay, this is the square. Now, and that's for this one. That's what we need for this one. Now, we do punch out some punches for this one. It's just the circle eyes. Here, let me bring it over here. We're going to punch out these eyes, okay? And I used the Creative Memory Punch, which mine's about to die. I need a new one. I may have to get one. So this is 1 1/4 inch circle for these here. And then I put whatever buttons I wanted to put on it. So, yeah. We got everything. And then I just cut out a nose. I just cut out a triangle for a nose. So let's get started. I'm not inking anything, so nothing gets inked. And I do need to cut one thing. Now I know why I brought it over here. This small one has to be cut in half. So you're going to line it up point to point on your cutting line. Make sure each end is in the cutting line or on the cutting line, because otherwise it won't be the right shape. Hold it down really well. And there you go. And they're both the same shape and size. Okay, now I'm going to move that away. For this one, they're really simple, guys, but they're fun. And I just thought you guys would love this because I had fun making them, okay? So I just am going to glue the base down. I'm not using my sewing machine. This is a non-sewing project. Now, I guess if you wanted to, you could sew it and then glue it down. I just chose to do it, you know, just as a gluing project. Because I don't want it to be something not everyone could do. So, and when I made my original one, which has been a few years ago, I didn't sew on it. I didn't have a machine at that time that would work. So you want to center this and get a border all the way around. Okay. Now, I got a little bit of ink. Shocker. Just wipe it off. If you need to go over it, you can with something. But that's wiping right off without any problems. Now, I did use a 5x5 card on these, okay, just so you know. This the card bases are 5x5, and the envelopes I use, let me tell you what size the envelopes are, and you'll know then. They're 5.5 by 5.5. I have some vellum ones, and then I have some plain ones. This is the first set I ever did, and I just did it like this, which, you know, I didn't do anything on the front. You could. I've got some ideas for the front. Maybe we'll do it later. Okay, so here we go. Now, we've got that down. How easy is that, right? And I'm just using Fabri-Tac, so I don't have problems with the glue. That felt really sticky right there. And I don't know why, so we better get it up. My card stuck to it. I thought I really cleaned off my mat this morning. You know, I try real hard not to get stuff on my mat, and then I fall. I get to where I don't pay attention, especially if I'm doing something that's more complicated, you know. So, anyway. So, there we go. Now, let me find something to wipe that off with. I don't want to get my card wet, right? I had a bunch of paper towels on my desk, but I don't know where they went. Okay, now, we've cut, well, good grief. There's glue there, too. I guess I got too close. Sometimes I get too close. I just like the edges not to lift up. And, you know, it's real easy when you have corners like this, you know. Okay, so you want to always make sure your card is opening from, or flipping up from the bottom. They all are the same. Now, on this one, you just take this little triangle that or this square that we cut in half, and you make triangles, and you add them to the side. I guess I had put instructions on the back of my cut pieces, but I just kind of had already put them on my patterns. Just thought that'd be just as easy. Okay, there we go. And now, if you cut it and it's a little short or a little long, because I've done that, you know, even though I'm cutting a certain size, you just, you know, compensate for that. You know, like this one ended up being perfect. Don't ask me how. That was probably an accident. Sometimes they're just, I don't know. I don't worry about it too much, to be honest. Just as long as they're not hanging over, and if they bug you, just clip them off on the ends if it's too big. If it's too short, you might want to cut another one. Okay. This is not a perfect science. I've seen these many, many years ago on Pinterest. This is not my idea. This was someone else's. I don't remember who. But you could probably put in under cards, owl cards, and you will see that they're very, very similar to mine. I mean, I didn't change much. I just loved them and thought they were so funny. and cute at the same time, you know, different. So basically you're just using shapes to make an owl, and you're going to make 4 different owls. So gives you a little set. Okay, now we want to put this one on this side, and we want a little bitty space between, no, on this one we don't. I'm sorry, I forgot. Like I'm doing this one totally different. You just don't, either way works. Like this one, I had it down from there, right? Let me see if I did my other ones. I did all my other ones. Oh, this one I did from the side. You can't tell here, but this paper is the top paper. Yeah, so, you know, you can put them on the side. You can put them on the top. You can do it however you want. Sometimes I bring the top page from the top and bottom, and sometimes I bring it from the sides. I hope you guys are having a good day. I need to talk to you while I'm doing this today. I just figure we could talk and be just fine here. Now, the next thing we're going to do is put on a nose. But sometimes I don't like to do that, and I'm going to do it like this. But sometimes I like to wait and see what the eyes look like on here. Now, the eyes will go on the side triangles. And you can decide, do you want them up higher? Do you want them down in the middle? I kind of do just a little bit above the middle, right there, okay? Anyway, I am moving. I've told you guys that. I live in Oklahoma, and we're moving to Branson, Missouri. And we're getting a house on the lake. Now, I think I've mentioned those things. Well, it's getting closer and closer to that time. So there'll be a lapse in my videos if I run out of videos. I'm trying to do as many as I can, but I've got to start packing my room, which when we move in probably will not be the first priority. You know, we have to get the kitchen and beds set up first, and then we'll come back and do the craft room. In the meantime, while I'm doing the kitchen, I'll have my husband installing all my shelves. I am going to have a bigger craft room, and I know you guys have probably seen the video. It's one of the first videos, or the top 5, one of the 5 beginning videos that I've done. So I'm going to look and make sure his eyes are nice and even. They're okay. So I decided to do a white nose on most of these. It's just easier, but you can do any shape you want. So we're going to do that first. Put his little nose on. I try to do all the noses different, but I'm going to do them all white. Because some colors just don't blend like they need to. So I'm bringing it down lower than the eyes. You just want to make sure that it's centered between your eyeballs. Okay. Yeah, there's a little right here. I thought I saw something shining. So, my typical self here. But anyway, and so we're going to be moving, and we're going to live on the lake, Table Rock Lake in Branson, Missouri. So, a lot of you may have never been to Branson. It's a great city. It's a great tourist town. Okay, now we're going to put on some brown eyes. Now, I do not tie strings in these eyes. But I'm thinking, look at this guy with his, or this girl with her little floppy eyes. You can do anything. You know, you could add eyelashes or no eyelashes. Wild ones like this, or simple ones, you know, with just tiny little lines. I did, on some of them, I did put a stitch in the eyes, like these two do have stitches. but I normally do not. You do not have to do that. And for this video, we're not going to put stitches because your glue will pop up through there. Yeah, and so you can decide, do you want them up down low like this, like he's looking at me right now? Or do you want him looking up at the sky, praying? Or do you want him to peek over here and see what someone's up to? It's up to you. If you want him to be scared, just put him in the center. Let's put him in the center this time, because you just never know, right? You could do them two different ways. I've got both sides here. I think we're going to do it this way, just for the heck of it. I do them different every time. Sometimes I turn it over so they're flatter, but I am going to put it over the whole button so that it does end up in the center. Okay, and the glue will end up coming through, I'm sure. Oh, there's some that's kind of seeping out. You have to put plenty on here in order to get it to stay on. When you first do it, when you first put the eyes on, you want to make sure you don't have any big amounts of glue coming out. That's the first thing. And then you go back and do the other eye. Watch the holes of your button. Like this has 4 holes, but if you notice, I put the holes, instead of doing it like a square, I did it like a triangle, and I did that on purpose. So this one's a little high, so we're going to go down, go over, and go down. Now, this particular button, when you get glue on it, the color starts coming off. I know, cheap buttons, right? I don't know, I got them in a jar, so it's some vintage shop, but you know, evidently they didn't bake right or something. All right, so you want them in the center. If they're not straight, that's all right. Just do the best you can. Okay, so I think that one is pretty straight. Now, what I do, let me wipe off my tip here. It's got some brown in it. What I do is I go ahead at this point and I do it separately because I don't want to have a bunch to do at one time, because it's not the most interesting thing to do. I do my faux stitching, and there's all kinds of ways to do it. You can just do little tick marks. We'll start on the nose. And I just am doing very gently. I'm not doing it super dark. And I'm just kind of, yeah, there's no real way of doing it. So while we're at the eyes, I'm going to do those. Those take a little bit more patience, because you're curving as you do this. And I will tell you, I've messed up many times doing this. Like, see right there, I curved into the eye. Really, you need to stay as close. Whoops, that's a crooked one. As close to the eyes, or the edge of the eyes, the eyeball. But don't do it so close that you can't see the outer portion after you do the tick marks, or the dashes, whatever you want to call them. Let's do the other eye. This is really good practice for making faux stitching, because you get to do different types. Now, I'm doing mine very basic, but I want you to remember, and at the end of the next video, I'll have all 4 of them out here, and you guys can freeze it and take a picture or do whatever you need so you can keep it. But I will put all 4 of them that we make out. Now, the next thing I do is the one that goes on the inside, I put the markings on. Only the one that's on the top, not on the bottom portion. We will do the outer edges only on the base piece. Okay, so right here, we're going to just do tick marks. And you can do them as long as you want. the longer you do them, the faster you can get through them. Sometimes, you know, I do small ones. Sometimes I do squiggly ones. Sometimes I just do double lines. So I'm going to go on the bottom portion here. If you put these on the solid color, it would look weird. You'd have all these lines together. That's the reason I chose just to do the top paper, the polka dots. And you may think that you can't see it, but you can. If you were over, if you were where I'm at right now, you can. The lighting is so much better for you probably. And then we're gonna go. So you go all the way around the triangle. This is a fun card to do when you have a lot of cards to make and you just need them to be fun. So after you do both triangles, we're going to do the square piece on the two ends that are showing. Some people do it around the outside. I've made these with other people. Some people do it on the outside instead of on the color portion. I prefer doing it like we are. I don't want it to be, if it gets messy, I don't want it on the white for sure. So here we go. If you have a stamp that says made by whoever, homemade by whoever, this is a perfect card to put those on. So I'm going to show you what I mean. I got to find my stamp first. I have a few little boxes that I keep some of my favorite stamps in. Oh, and this isn't it. Whoopsie. I got to find it. Just a moment. What did I do with that? Let me see. I have a couple boxes going on here. And I thought it was in that one. Oh no, I know what I did with it. It's right here because I use it more often. Okay, so this one, you want to go like this. You want your little guy down there and you want this at the bottom of the card right here. And I probably, because they all have brown eyes, I probably will do all brown. But I really think I'm just going to go with black because it does do better when you do it with black. Now let's hope. I had this stamp made many years ago when I started making cards for fun. And I'm going to lay a piece of paper out here to stamp on first. And that way we can know that it's going to be okay. Okay. Now, so I'm really due to get a new one. But I just love this one. I got it on Etsy. I just went in and put stamps, personal stamps, and ended up with this one. Okay, so we have our first card done. And I'm going to turn the fan on. These lights are so hot. So we have our first fan, sorry guys. We have the first card done. And I think it turned out cute. It's nothing fancy. And I'll tell you, I discovered when making this with my friend Pat that simple is better. Because we did some busy ones like, that's crazy, right? And we did this one, all these different shapes, stripes and flowers and hearts. It's just a lot. It is a lot. So you want to think about that when you pick your paper. And I thought the way I made them the very first time was the better way. And so that's what I'm teaching you today. Okay, so we're done with number one. So now let's bring on number two. Which is our little old man. I call him a little old man. Now what did I do with him? Okay, this is the, I know I put him in here somewhere. Where did he go? I bet he's over here to the side. Let me look. There's no telling. Oh, there he is. There he is. He's on the black paper, which we don't need right away. Okay, here he is. So, let's get started. Now this time, every one of them has a base. So every one of them will have the 4 and, let's see what it was, 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, and so you will always glue that down first. So we don't have to say much more about that. We just need to do it, right? Make sure you're putting the best side up if it's double-sided. Like usually on cardstock, which I like to use cardstock on the base to keep the confusion down a little bit. But usually on cardstock, you have one side that just looks better than the other. I don't know. That's my eye telling me that. I don't know if it's true. I'm not a card expert, but I just know what my experience has been. It has always seemed like it needed to be. Make sure you're opening it correctly. You can lay it flat or you can do it like I'm doing it here. And then you just you want a glue that moves so that you can do it, you know, get it centered on here nicely. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is bring our trimmer over, and this time we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut this circle. I just got a big lid here in my room. I had a big jar that I had put a lot of snippets in, and I just drew around it. So it's a 4 3/4 inch circle. Okay, and what we're going to do is cut it in half, and we're only going to use 1/2. Okay, so what I did, let me think for a minute. What I did was I went from the bottom down here. Let me get over here where you can see. And like I said, this is a I don't think it's as big as I told. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It is. I'm sorry. So, I'm just going to eyeball it. On this one, you will just have to eyeball it. But if you've got a design like this, you want to stay with the design. In other words, I want to cut it straight through the middle of the black portion of this print. Okay, so, and I'm just kind of looking at my trimmer and deciding that if I put it here, which is half of 3 3/4, that would be, well, no, that would be too small if I did that. Just eyeball it. That's what I always do. It's going to turn out just like you want it. Just make sure you're straight in the center. Now, you have two sizes here because I didn't get perfectly in the center. I'm going to use the smaller of the two. If you want his beard longer, use the longer of the two. Okay? And this is straight here. So now I'm going to also, while we've got the trimmer out, we're going to do the same thing with this. And this is a 2.5 inch punch. Okay? I did use 3 different punches with this. And so it's 2.5, so I want to go 1 1/4 and 1 1/4. So you just go to the 1 1/4 line, 1 1/4 line on the other side. Line up your circles to be, your polka dots to be straight as you can. And there we go. So the same sort of thing. You pick which one you like the best, and you move your trimmer away from your space, and here we go. Okay, we're gonna do this one. So like I was telling you a minute ago, I'm going to be moving You put the oval part at the bottom, and you can allow as much space as you want right here. And I would lay everything out before I decided where I wanted it. If it ends up being a little long on this side, just trim it even with the black. And then you're going to put this flat portion at the top of the black, solid black, and you center it the best you can. That's close enough for demonstration purposes. And then I'm going to leave a little space at the bottom because I don't want him to, I want you to be able to see all around him. Okay, now he also has the same eye size, the 1 1/4 inch circles. And we're going to put them right here. He also has really big eyes. I don't know how I decided that. His eyes are even bigger. I said really big, but his eyes are even bigger. And he'll be like this, okay? And then he's going to have a longer nose. Okay? So that's how it's going to go. Yes, it would look good inked if you wanted to ink it. But I kind of like the simplicity of it, and it just makes it look more playful instead of more serious. Okay? And you want to remember how far up from the bottom that you decided to put it. And this is where you get your, you make sure everything is in place where you had it. Okay, so I'm going to bring it down just a little. Okay, and then start on this side, and I'm going to look at the bottom, and I'm going to really make sure this is straight. You want to look up here and make sure it's straight. It looks straight to my eye, but that doesn't mean it's perfect, and I don't really worry about it. So as I said, we're closing on our house the end of September. And so we've already had inspections, and now everything has to be fixed in our new house because it is 28 years old. I know, crazy, right? I can't even believe it myself. It's gonna we're gonna have to modernize some of the stuff in the house, but the house is so worth it. It looks like a little southern mansion. It's got four big giant pillars. It has a veranda on the top level, a big deck in the back. It has a beautiful porch, and I'm gonna put 2 big white wicker chairs out front. Off to the side, it kind of has the bay windows, you know, a bay window section that's a round room. The room is round, and you can see that from the outside too, so that's fun. And then down in the basement, we have a space to use as an Airbnb someday. It's going to be quite a while before we ever do that, but it is like its own little apartment. It's 2 bedroom. It's a mother-in-law suite. It has its own entrance and its own garage. So we're excited to have that new adventure eventually. We drove down, it sits on Table Rock Lake, and we drove down to the beach area so we could see what the kids would enjoy. And it was closed due to COVID, but we also took a left and drove over just a matter of yards over to the side to watch them load and unload the boats. Now, we had talked about getting a boat, but we had not made up our mind. So we pretty much, after watching them go in and out of the, I don't know if I told you guys this or not. My mind is so busy right now. I'm meeting myself coming and going. I'm not gonna lie. I've had this ready to do, and I just haven't had time. So at some point, we probably will run out of videos. I'm trying to do one every 3 days. I know that's not very many guys, but trying to spread it out a little bit so you guys won't forget about me. So again, at that point, you want to center the hair. I'm going to look and make sure it's center. Yeah, it's good enough. So we have a lot of remodeling to do. There's some wallpaper. It also had a famous person live in the house, and the main level master was her music room. So she sang in Branson for a while, many years ago, and she was the second person to own this house. Here is the same size eyes that we did before. There's only one with a bigger eye. So it's the 1 1/4 inch. Okay. So I have a tendency to collect, because I love making these, I have a tendency to collect brown buttons, brown and black. I just feel like, you know, I like them big and different sizes. So when I find them large buttons, I always try to grab them. Ooh, it's a little bit more glue than I should have put on there. It just kind of started coming out. Maybe that'll help. See, I just kind of look at the beard and at the hair and kind of go by that. I'm sure this is going to have some glue love. Now this time, before we put the eyes on, we will want to put we will want to do the stitching first, because the eyes are really big. So we're going to put on the nose. Sweet little nose. Sweet giant nose. Okay, I just got that all over my hand. Oh well, what can I say? Yuck would be a really good word to say. I'll have to wipe my hands off after we put this down. Okay, so you don't want it like way up here. You want it more just above the beard. You know, like there's a mouth in there somewhere. Wipe off this glue. Now, on this little guy, we'll put our, we'll do our eyes and so forth. Let me wipe this glue. I made a terrible mess with the glue. I'll tell you right now, if you don't have this bottle, go to Amazon and get one. You can go to Gail's favorite things and she has it. I am not an affiliate, so if I ever am, I'll let you know. Okay, so I'm lucky to have time to get my videos done. Trying to get all this mess I just made cleaned up. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing with this little guy. He looks really white, doesn't he? He's got brightness all around him. I'm gonna do the eyes the same way because they just look better. I might make them longer though. See, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to do tiny little lines, go for it. Now, because this is a black background, we're only going to do, I don't think you'll be able to see it, so I'm kind of like thinking, do we want to do it white? Maybe. I don't know if I got a pen that will cooperate or not. We'll see. We may do it white. I kind of feel like it's going to be bare if we don't. Now we're going to do the beard, which really you're thinking, okay, well, you can't see it, but you can. Across the top is not as clear as around the beard, but you will be able to see it. And again, you can use whatever colors you want. It's your choice. I just recommend the solid for the background. I've been happier with that, or something close to being solid. Okay, and now we're going to do the hair. Sometimes I get my marks off. See right there? It's okay. Now we've got the black all done. Now I'm going to get the white pen. Keep your fingers crossed that it doesn't mess up my... It's pretty new. It's shouldn't be any problem. If you can't get your white Uniball pen to start, just kind of put it on the tip of your finger and your body heat will get it working. Now don't press very hard, because that will stop the flow of the ink. You can go back over it, but I wouldn't do it more than once. You do want a pen that's not 100 years old to do this, because if you've had it for a long time, it will probably not work as well. Okay, almost done. You can see where it's trying to leave little empty spaces, and that's okay. Okay, so this one has all its lines. Now it's time to glue the eyeballs down. And I don't know how these are going to work, but we'll see. Because I'm saying that because I don't think I have any with that particular, I don't think, because it has this big dip, I don't think we can get the glue down in there to hold it. So let's do something different. I have these flat buttons right here that maybe I want to use instead. I like to use giant ones, but we're going to use these. These are kind of a swirly looking button. Don't ask me where I got them. I have no idea. But we're going to put these on there because it has a flat back. So if you're really particular about where your, what kind of buttons and all that, you want to look for some with flat backs. That's what I recommend. You can do however you want. You can, again, you could stitch in these. I'm putting these kind of in the center also on this because I like them there. But I do put them in different places. But for this demo, I just wanted to do them where everything kind of seemed clear. He's off a little bit, but that's all right. Just push them down. Ooh, and when you move that, because of this particular button, it definitely will put brown on your paper. So don't move it around. if you have this type of button. See, like I got a little bit of brown right there. And I'll fiddle with it until I get it off. I'm just kind of stuffing it up underneath. Yeah, now, we've got these on here. We've got everything. You can add anything you want to these. Now we're going to stamp made by. And you want to do that when you make cards and you share them. I just think it looks good to let people know your talent. I know a lot of people don't want anyone to know that they made a card or whatever. And I don't stamp the inside sentiment until I know who it's for and what it's for. But I like to keep a stock of these for fun times. Okay, so we've got 2 done. And let me put my pen back in and I'll flip it around. So this is number 2 and number 1. 1 and 2. And we're at 46 minutes. So we're close enough. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. We're close enough to, I'm going to move it so you can see better. They're crooked looking, aren't they? That's because my camera is going sideways. But anyway, I hope you had fun doing this. And it is kind of hard to see the lines on this blue, but in person you can see them. And even up here, I mean, you can see the line right there, but they're there. You could even come back and do white on this portion if you wanted to. Or you can use whatever color pen you want. You don't have to stick to what I'm using. But they're fun. And tomorrow, or the next video, probably be every 3 days, I'm going to try to bring a video as it gets closer to time to move into our house and stuff. There will be probably a month, maybe a little longer, that I'll be off the air and my store will be closed. So if you guys need anything, run over there. But please keep watching. And in the meantime, I have a lot of videos. You can go back and catch a few of those until I get back. All right, guys. I'm not leaving today, but I will make the second part. And it will be right behind this one. So this is part 1. And then we'll do part 2. All right, guys. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope you think it's a fun channel. And you'll come back and subscribe or subscribe today. I have a lot of subbies and I love them all. And I appreciate everything they do for my channel. And I'd like to add you to that list. Welcome to any new subscribers. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.